My friends, welcome to episode 42 of Professor and Dev Play Games. My name is Larry. I am a professor, and over there is my friend
Anthony, a developer. This is episode 42.
Can you believe that?
To everything.
That's right. This is the last podcast because it is the answer to everything. We cannot top this.
No.
Except we have a lot of Pokemon to talk about.
We will. Unfortunately. I think it's fortunately. There's enough people playing this thing that I'm pretty sure it's fortunately.
How do you put in brackets, like in an audio format? Because it's mostly fortunately.
Can you put your finger? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just holding brackets with my fingers.
Yeah.
But we do have a lot to talk about. We have Nintendo and Pokemon. We've got some stuff about NPD. We've got some stuff about Valve. SDCC, the San Diego Comic-Con, which I'm going to take part in, which is going to be great. Rocket League, a little bit of Star Wars, and then what we're playing. But we're going to start with a discussion, and this discussion is about Nintendo and their ability to create cultural milestones. And Anthony, this is a topic that you brought to the table this week, so why don't you start us off?
I did. I mean, I was thinking about this unless you're completely tuned out of the cultural zeitgeist, Pokemon Go has taken over everything, everywhere. You can't not turn on a TV, listen to the radio, look at Twitter, look at Facebook, look at Tumblr, Instagram, without seeing something Pokemon Go related. It's everywhere.
I'm going to step in for 1 second here. My conversation partner that I've had since January in Spanish, like I call him a couple times a week. He's from Colombia, and we speak Spanish for half an hour, then English for half an hour. Every single Facebook post for the last, week and a half, 2 weeks?
Week and a half right now.
Yeah, week and a half. Pokemon Go. Everything.
Yeah. So, this isn't the first time Nintendo's done this, or been involved in this. I mean, I would say the Wii, that did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had a run before that where, I mean, the N64 didn't sell enormous transforming thing, but you have the NES into the SNES, both huge, and I mean NES especially brought gaming to the living room. Everyone had an NES back in the 80s. Yep. People I wouldn't even have expected to have it. Like,
right.
Family members, you're like, you want an NES? Why? Why do you want to play games? And Nintendo's done this over multiple generations and continues to do this. I mean, I guess the mid-90s it was originally Pokemon. There are people I know that had Game Boy Colors to play Pokemon, that they had no other game. I mean, these are adults, like, not game players at all, did not play a single game, but I know a handful of people that just were like, they had their Game Boy Color, they had their Pokemon game. That's what they played. And that was, 95, 96?
Right.
So.
And you did not play it at the time,
Nope.
right? Yeah.
No, I've never touched a Pokemon game in my life.
Except for the card game.
Yeah, and that's only been... Oh, I played the card game once in college just to see what it was. And then, like, a month and a half ago, starting to play it with my son. So, that was my introduction, for the most part, to it. I've never watched the anime, I've never read the manga. I know some of the characters just because of their cultural relevance.
Right.
I mean, Pikachu, Jigglypuff, honestly, Squirtle, Charmander, Charizard, like, you just heard these things over the years. They're there, they're in memes. And so, I've just this last week just been thinking, like, how does Nintendo keep doing this? Because everyone counts them down and out.
Yep.
But they continue to give them between, let's see, when was the Wii? 2011? 2010?
I thought it was earlier than that.
It might be earlier than that. I have a hard time remembering exact dates, but I mean, it's been a while since they've done this.
Right.
But that's kind of how it goes.
2006.
Okay, so honestly, yeah, it seems about every 10 years something like this happens with Nintendo.
Right. And
so
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't know exact. I mean, they're not planning this.
Well, based upon their server space, it's clear that they didn't plan as it
No,
to
actually,
be as big as it is.
So some stats. I was collecting stats on this. So as of yesterday, in the U.S. alone, they had 26 million daily active users.
Holy shit! And that's wow. Okay.
Only in the U.S.
Right.
Yesterday.
Right.
They, on average, are making about. People are estimating about $4 million to $4.5 million a day on the total, with about $2 million of that being in the U.S. alone, Android, iOS. Nintendo's stock is up over 90% since the launch.
And so there was one when it first launched. It was like 25% in one day, and that was the biggest jump since the fucking Famicom, which was in the 80s. Not the Super,
83,
the Famicom.
1983.
Yeah. Unreal.
Yep. Let's see. And then there's other stats of like why it just keeps going like this. This is more interesting to me from being in mobile games for a bit.
Right.
They see about 70% day one, just over 70% day one retention, and just about 70% day three. So that's 7 out of 10 people
Are
who
sticking
download
with it.
the game, and it's downloading 5 to 6 million copies a day in the U.S. So 7 out of 10 of those people stay with it through at least 3 days. They're engaging with it longer than they engage with Facebook in a day.
And when I see those stats, I think of the shareholders for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years when Iwata was in charge, just saying, like, smartphones, go, smartphones. And he's, like, slowing, putting the brakes on the idea, but they finally, I'm sure he had something to do with this idea coming forward, but...
I mean, they had to approve it.
Exactly, and it's
They
not a
have
quick
veto
thing.
power to say, and
Exactly.
and I have looked. I mean, the Pokemon Company did this. Nintendo owns a third of the Pokemon Company with Game Freak and Creature.
Mm-hmm.
That's who owns and controls the Pokemon franchise.
Right.
But by having that 1/3, Nintendo has control over what platforms the games go on. Of course, it's always Nintendo platforms.
Right.
So they of course had a veto in this. They could say, no, you don't get to do this. But they also invested money in Niantic, the developer that made this game.
And don't they own the majority of Niantic, or am I making
No.
Oh, okay.
Google owns a lot of Niantic as well.
Oh, because it kind of spun off of Google, right?
Yeah. Niantic is made up of a lot of just venture capital and Silicon Valley stuff, with Nintendo helping them now with this, like helping fund them. I think Nintendo owns a bit of Game Freak as well. Like,
Yeah.
it's a convoluted mess of companies having their hands at little places. But
Right.
beyond anything, Nintendo allowed this. Like, they had to yep, we can make a mobile version of Pokemon for iOS and Android. Turns out that was a good idea.
Yeah, turns out. And I guess my question is, I haven't played Pokemon Go, I haven't started it, I haven't tried it yet, but I'm hoping to this week. What does it mean, like this, I don't know, renewed enthusiasm for Nintendo, or just this zeitgeist energy for, I mean, not Wii U, that's dead, but for the NX? Like, what's coming next? Does it mean anything at all?
If they launch with a Pokemon thing on the NX, yeah, it'd be really good for them.
I mean, Sun and Moon is going to be like the biggest Pokemon launch ever, right? Like,
I plan on picking it up now.
Right.
Why not? Like, they've all reviewed really well. I just never gave them a go, and now I'm somewhat invested in the property. So this is going to help them for a while. NX, again, we still don't know what the NX is. Maybe the NX will be able, if it's a portable thing, can do Pokemon Go.
If they're smart, they're going to tie it in somehow. They have to.
They could totally do just make part of the NX be the mobile thing that has AR, and
right.
The data connection would be the interesting part. They'd have to figure that out.
But just some way for the NX console to connect to your cell phone, and the data from what you've collected mobily, like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's all they need.
Yeah. They have shown off, I don't know when it will come out, these little Pokeball, like Google Maps, wristbands or pins.
Kind of like
seen this?
the Fitbit thing?
They're a Bluetooth peripheral
Oh, shit.
that it blinks and vibrates when you get close to a Pokestop or a point of interest, and you can click it to collect it without pulling your phone out.
Wow.
This is something they showed off originally with the game, and so they haven't. Niantic hasn't actually said when something like that's coming out, just that it will.
Well, I feel like that whole thing is, I think it was like a year and a half ago when Nintendo was like, yeah, we're getting into like the fitness movement or whatever it was, like devices for fitness, like the Fitbit kind of thing. Like maybe this is what they were talking about.
Could be. We'll see what that ends up being, but I don't see, like, no matter how long this actually lasts, people are going to talk about Pokemon Go now for ever, probably. It's a point of time that people will remember. Remember when those thousands of people went to the Santa Monica Pier?
Remember when they found all the dead bodies in San Diego?
San Diego. Yeah. Or Wyoming or Utah,
right.
Whatever.
Yep.
Just the amount of story and coverage this is getting, like, it's the same as, like, when the Wii and the NES hit. Like, you remember that? I remember picking up, like, pre-ordering my Wii, like, a month before it came out. Sitting in line at the mall, like, the upscale mall in downtown Seattle.
Yeah.
Me and a bunch of PopCapper, like, holding a line. We're all running around trying to find, like, the one that would, like, get us a pre-order. And I was there like 2 hours before the store opened, but got my pre-order, and then the day the thing come out, going to pick it up in the games, and going back to a coworker's house and playing Wii Sports and just trying out all the other games together, just having a blast and drinking, and yeah.
Yeah, it usually involves drinking in some way.
Yeah, but it was just like... But I wasn't the only one. Like, everyone that I knew was doing that.
And that's what's happening with this is that... Okay, so my wife and I are sitting in our house and today, and we've put a bunch of stuff on our driveway to kind of get rid of for free or to sell for cheap because we're moving, right? All this big furniture stuff. And people pull up and we're like, oh, people are going to come grab the stuff. But they're in like a coupe or like a small car. They're not going to be able to fit like patio furniture in their trunk. Oh, no, they're looking at their laps. I think they're looking at their phone. Okay, they're playing Pokemon. Like, what is next to our house?
I don't know. I'm very curious now.
Yeah, but we've had several people, and like one person came by 6 times by our house and then stopped next to our corner every single time.
You should download the game and start it so you can see what's actually around your
I thought
neighborhood.
about that,
yeah. Do you see it? Like, why does Nintendo get to do this so much?
I think... I don't want to say like they're lucky. I think that they have like an IP that is recognized and people like know this IP, and it kind of like jumpstarts the energy around it. But there are people who, I mean, as far as I know, who are playing Pokemon Go who, okay, for example, I went to a meetup 2 nights ago. It was like a child-free meetup in San Diego, and people were talking, like the first topic of conversation was Pokemon Go. And they aren't people who've like typically been following Nintendo in the last 10, 15 years or whatever. They played Nintendo a long time ago, like we all did with the NES. But they're talking about their boyfriends and their friends and their girlfriends who have played Pokemon Go, and they're like talking about like capturing Pokemon, on the go with their phones, and they are not gamers. And I think they just heard about it and then wanted to try it out and then just got hooked. And there's some sort of 5 second of fun like hook to that game. Again, I haven't played it yet, so I don't know, but you can speak to that.
I mean, it's easy. It's very easy to pick up and play.
Exactly.
Like, it's not... The game is not meant to be difficult. It's not... I mean, it's paper toss, flinging Pokeballs to catch things. And I mean, there's some that I've actually probably spent minutes trying to capture a thing because it keeps us breaking the ball. And, like, there are challenging ones where you need to curve the ball and all sorts of stuff like that. But that's much later once you're invested.
Right.
For the most part, you just need to flick the ball. Flick the ball and have it hit them. And although there's something that feels really good when it works.
Yeah. And
there's a nice build-up to anticipation if you actually caught them or not.
I think there's some sort of like inertia. Like, like the snowball rolling on the hill, eventually it gets enough mass that it just keeps growing and growing. I think that's what's happening. Like all types of media are picking up this thing. And, and I forget who said it, but like luck is really just the intersection of preparation and opportunity. And they have prepared for this, and they have the opportunity to do it. And it's just like it's all hit at the same time.
Yeah.
And
I think you brought up something with like recognizable IP.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing Nintendo has done since the 80s is nurture their IP. They pick IP and then they nurture it. They try to make it stick.
Well, for someone like me, again, who still hasn't picked up this mobile game, but Pokemon, I've never played a second of Pokemon in my life, but I know several of the characters just through Smash Brothers, for example.
Oh yeah.
I play a ton of Smash Brothers, and I know those characters, and it keeps Pokemon in my mind. And currently watching Evo 2016. That's going on this weekend in Vegas.
Pokken tournament.
Exactly. So I clicked on to watch the Killer Instinct tournament, and it hadn't started yet. And it was Pokken. I just started watching Pokken for like half an hour. Because
the game
I know
actually
those
looks
characters.
pretty cool.
It really does. If I had a Wii U, I would play it.
You'll have a Wii U back
Yeah,
once you tell me that you've moved in and ready for it.
Yeah. Well, I'm moving in 2 weeks, but I'm not gonna want it by then. So you keep it for a little bit longer.
But I think that's probably their biggest thing, because when you think of Microsoft and Sony, they don't have their like mainline IP and characters really don't penetrate that cultural zeitgeist.
No, I mean like Nathan Drake. It's not cultural. It's PS focused.
I guess Microsoft has come the closest with Halo and Master Chief,
but
I don't feel like it has penetrated. It's like, I don't know. It's not penetrated in the same way of like you just randomly see people talking about it and knowing these characters. Like I could go to my parent and say, "Do you know what Halo is?" And they're like, "A game."
Or with PlayStation, do you know Sackboy? No. Yeah, exactly. It's not as pervasive as Mario or even Mega Man, which is not a Nintendo property, but is connected to Nintendo, for example.
It is. And I think that's the part of nurturing that they've done, because a lot of these other, like Mega Man, I don't feel Capcom has nurtured it very well.
No. Nintendo has treated Mega Man better in the last 10 years than Capcom has.
Yeah, exactly. It's just this thing of like, Nintendo knows how to keep their franchises in people's mind.
Right.
And they know that sometimes that's not just in a new video game. It's cross-promotion. Pokemon's a weird one because it's been going 20 years and they have...
Yep.
Now with my son into it, anime and manga and movies and the card game. I mean, people wonder, like, you want to know why the Pokemon Company exists? It's to manage all of that.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to my friend from Colombia. He was like, "Oh, have you been playing Pokemon Go?" I was like, I haven't yet, but I plan on it eventually." He's like, "Well, have you seen an anime though, right?" "No." "Well, you've read the manga, right?" "No."
No.
"You played the games?" "No." "The card game?" "No." Like, he was like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" So it's permeated, and it's and it was really interesting because, again, like we talk half in Spanish, half in English, and the entire conversation was dominated by, in Colombia right now, so the gasoline prices have raised, there are toll prices that have raised, and there are more toll stops and highways that have raised the prices, so there's a strike right now with truck drivers. Because of that, there's no food in the stores. And because there's no food in the stores, the food that is there has raised. So this is like a huge, like, real crisis. And most of the conversation was talking about Pokemon Go.
And I say the other reason that shows that Nintendo can do this in so many times is it gives some people something happy to talk about.
Well, and that's with him exactly right. Like, it's like he is facing all of this shit in his life right now in Colombia, And like this thing is something that's been fun. Like he's been out every day, like doing this free thing, basically ostensibly free thing.
Yep.
And as long as he can find food, he's and that's such a sad thing. But he's so like hanging on to this one thing, and it was just such an interesting conversation.
And that's kind of the power of games in a lot of ways.
Right.
Honestly, in media in general, like it can get us through very dark times, and I would see that. Honestly, in some ways, Nintendo right now, launching Pokemon Go when they did, there's a lot of negative headlines out there. There's been a lot of
most of them that I see
hate and divisiveness online, and just kind of an onslaught of it.
Well, did you
see I kind of feel like society as a whole was ready for something, a catharsis to that, and the opposite, just something they could come together with.
Well, and even like I agree with you, but then the Pokemon thing comes out, and there are still people who are like, I think you saw this meme on Facebook who was like, or it was like, yeah, I see people playing Pokemon Go, but I'm an adult with real shit to do in my life, so I don't.
And
then
know about cross out the real stuff and say, I don't like fun and have no soul.
Well, and I agree with you. And then the funny thing is that the 3 people that I saw share that, there was something later that I saw was like, Pokemon sucks. It's it's this whatever bullshit thing, but I don't mind playing Candy Crush for 5 hours a day. And the 3 people who shared that fucking meme, the original one about the Pokemon Go sucking or whatever, played Candy Crush for hours and hours.
Yep.
Like, fuck you guys.
There's always the haters. They want to be counterculture, and
right.
That'll always be a subset of people that like, oh, it's popular. I don't like that.
Right.
Or I don't like the people doing this. It's weird. People doing weird things.
Oh, sorry. I got to interrupt again. Speaking of weird, there were 3 or 5 people in my city doing Pokemon Go in like just a park in my city it's pretty famous for disc golf. I go there and play disc golf, but they were there at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Traipsing through the park. And you know what they found?
No.
They found fucking Bill Murray.
What?
Bill Murray was in the park at 2 a.m.
Was he playing Pokemon
around.
Go?
I'm not sure if he was playing Pokemon Go or if he was on drugs or if he was drunk. I don't fucking know. But they found him, I think, in a bush or near a bush. They found Bill Murray. And it was in our local paper. It was just like this huge headline. Bill Murray found in local park. And it was just, there's pictures, like it's real. And it was just hilarious. Because they were playing Pokemon Go. And usually it's like they found like a dead body or like, I don't know, like dead cats or a satanic whatever. But it was like Bill Murray.
You've captured a Bill Murray.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to guess that he was playing Pokemon Go.
I want to believe that, but it's probably not true.
It's so funny. He lives near here, so it was, he's been cited several times in the last week leading up to Comic-Con or whatever, but it was pretty funny.
Sure. Okay.
But
another story chalked up to Pokemon Go and this whole thing.
But yeah, Nintendo has created some sort of milestone here, and people are going to remember this for a very long time.
I do. I think so. I will. I mean, I've been having a blast with it. We'll get to that when on what we're playing. I can go into
and we're also
my enjoyment that I've had for the past week playing this game.
Yeah, we'll save that for that part. And also, there's some more Nintendo news coming up. This is probably the most Nintendo positive podcast we've had in ever. So when we come back from the break, we're going to get into some news, starting with Nintendo. So stay right there, and we'll be right back. My friends, welcome back from the break. We are going to talk about some news, and we're going to start with some news about Nintendo, which has been dominating our podcast so far. And there's been a piece of news which I think kind of speaks to what kind of gamer I am. I'm not exactly sure, but this news is about Nintendo, and it's relive past glories with Nintendo's ultimate retro gaming experience. It's the NES Classic Edition. Apparently, it's a NES console-looking thing that fits into the palm of your hand. Has a NES controller that hooks in via like a Wiimote plug-in, and you've got 20 games to play with.
30 games.
Oh, 30 games. Excuse me, 30 games to play with. that plugs right into the HDMI cable. You can plug right into your TV. It's launching this October or November. No, excuse me, November.
11/11.
Oh, there we go. 11/11 is a Skyrim kind of launch. And some of the games that are, it's basically this NES console that plugs into your TV, and it has 30 games, and we've got things like Castlevania, Donkey Kong, Double Dragon 2, Dr. Mario, Excite Bike, Ice Climber, Kirby's Adventure, Mega Man 2, which is the best Mega Man, Pac-Man,
Agreed.
Super C, Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, 3, Tecmo Bowl, Legend of Zelda 2, etc. And for me, this is probably the most exciting gaming purchase I'm going to make this year, and I already have pre-purchased the PSVR, and this is more exciting to me, and I think that, I don't know what that says about me.
No, it's exciting for me too. I saw this, and I know that it's Nintendo's complete nostalgia play.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know what? These are games that I have very fond memories of. I can play them on. I have played them on emulation on my computer.
You can emulate this for free, but
it's also a pain in the butt to emulate this onto my TV.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing for me that when I first saw this, I'm like, I can show my son these games, and the controller's small again.
Right.
Where you can actually hold an NES controller, because I was his age when I had an NES, or a little bit younger. And the NES controller doesn't have many buttons. It's not that big. It fits into a kid's hands perfectly. And I can be like, here you go. Play Mario. Enjoy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's not complicated. He doesn't have to worry. He's
right, like
6 years old, and like a lot of these games, like he likes like the Lego Marvel stuff, and he likes Wind Waker and stuff. It's just the 3D controls and camera and stuff are just way too complicated. He has such a hard time controlling the camera and moving and doing jump, and his hands aren't really big enough to do it. So I'm just excited to do that stuff. I mean, Excite Bike's on here. Excite Bike. I can build tracks.
That's awesome.
I remember building tracks so much on Excite Bike.
When I read through the list of games, I was like, this, honestly, it's a very solid list, and I saw Excite Bike, I was like, oh my god, that's awesome. So
the original Final Fantasy is on here. Like, Nintendo went out and licensed these from
They made a good
tons
idea
of people.
way better.
And they just said, like, hey, we're doing this.
We're going to do it right.
We're going to get the classics on here, even the ones we didn't make. Man, this was an exciting piece of news. And yes, it's nostalgia play, and that goes to show Nintendo's the cultural relevance that they've created multiple times. Look it's an NES. Yep, I love that thing.
Well, it's interesting too. Like some of mostly the internet Reddit forum or whatever, reaction to this news has been very positive, and some people have been saying, well, we can just play this on Virtual Console. Like, yeah, most of them you can, but for the general consumer, $60 to get just the play to the nostalgia and to remember their, okay, I'm excited about Pokemon Go. I remember playing Nintendo when I was a kid. Oh, here's this thing for $60. Here's those old games. Oh, wait, there's this Nintendo NX that's coming out that's connected to these things. Like, if they make the connection to consumers between Pokemon Go to this thing for nostalgia for the older gamers, or even the newer gamers, I don't know, to the NX, this might be like a really brilliant PR or marketing whole process.
Yeah, I agree. I did read something somewhere, that other piece that I really like about this, and it will allow for memory save states.
Yeah.
So you can just stop.
Right.
And it will just... I mean, the games aren't big, so saving the memory footprint for them is, probably less than 100K.
Well, and there was... and there was... speaking of that, there was some... I forget which podcast I was listening to, but they were saying a JPEG of the Mario 3 game is bigger file size than the Mario 3 game ever was.
Yeah, I can see that.
God. So yeah, I think the save state thing is brilliant because it's something that we enjoy on the Wii U and in emulation in general. So I'm playing through Mega Man right now, where I can save it and go back, and then if I die, I can play it again. So an easy way for that to happen, where I can just power it off or walk away and come back. It's just, this is something that, my wife hasn't really gamed since the NES, and this is something that will get her back to the TV to play some games, because these are the games that she grew up on.
Exactly. And it might make her interested in other ones.
Maybe. We'll see.
Maybe. We'll see. Do you think within a year, 2 years, they'll do an SNES version?
If they don't do an SNES version by the time that... so this time next year, I will be shocked. Because, so I'll be shocked because it's a great idea. Nintendo doesn't usually follow up on great ideas, but it just seems like a no-brainer. However, NES Remix came out for the Wii U. I don't know if you've played this game.
No.
It's awesome. So basically, they've remixed old NES games to do challenges for the NES, section of the game, and then they've kind of remixed it so you can play as Link in Metroid, or play as Samus in Link, Legend of Zelda, the original The Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
And then it just seemed like a no-brainer. Okay, here comes the SNES remix. Never came out. There was NES Remix 2, which was more NES games, but they never put out SNES Remix. So in my mind, I'm thinking, if you put out an SNES Remix SNES, a mini console next year, it's going to be the same thing. People are going to be just all over it, and then an N64 after that or whatever. But based upon past practice, I'm not confident, but I am so hoping, because I love the NES, but the Super Nintendo was my console. That was my favorite console ever. I agree.
Yeah. So hopefully they'll do it. This was just exciting news. I was sold immediately. I went to Amazon. I was like, "Can I pre-order this yet?" Which you can't.
That's exactly what I did. I went to 7 different places to see if I could pre-order it, and then I Googled how do I want this fucking thing. This thing's gonna sell out.
Give it to me. Give it to me. Give it to me
right now. I will cancel my PSVR pre-order. I don't care. I want this. And I was thinking, I want the old games. I want the 8-bit graphics. What does that say about me? It's just I want good games.
Yeah.
Oh God, it looks so good. So that's news item number 1, and we are seriously really excited about that. The next piece of news is more interesting right now than anything else. I don't know what's going to come of it, but apparently NPD is finally going to add digital tracking to its game sales reports.
Yes.
Do you want to jump on this one?
Yeah, this is a huge thing. I read the article, and I was like, okay, how are they getting their digital numbers? And they are getting them directly from the publishers. So Activision, they have deals with Activision, Capcom, Deep Silver, EA, Square Enix, Take-Two, and Warner Brothers. They are missing Bethesda, Microsoft, and Nintendo, and Sony. So I can only imagine that those eventually might join on.
The inertia's got to pull them in, right?
You think. That's going to come back to how important are the NPD numbers overall to these companies.
Right, because if Sony doesn't care, then they won't share their digital numbers because they don't care.
Yeah, they're just we don't care. Fine.
Right.
Our games are lower in those charts. Those charts don't affect our sales, so why do we care? So, it's a perception thing. Does the general gamer buying thing care about the NPD?
No, but there are hardcore gamers who are all over NeoGAF.
They do.
And these threads who are influenced.
I'm not saying they don't, but do they actually, stop people, affects actual sales numbers overall? I can see that's why, Sony and Nintendo and Microsoft are yeah, we don't care.
Well, I think it's something that... taking Street Fighter V, for example. Street Fighter V on PC... Well, PC is digital anyways, but Pokken Tournament outsold Street Fighter V, and there are a number of reasons why Street Fighter V languished. Mainly because the single-player campaign really just sucked. But you look at NPD, and it's doing worse than Pokken Tournament, which is on Wii U, which is a system that is just terrible compared to the PS4 sales numbers. So people are thinking, I'll wait.
It's true.
And how many quote unquote hardcore gamers are looking at that conversation and thinking, I'm going to wait because I'm going to see it dropping. Like Doom right now launched two months ago or so at 60.
Yeah, about that.
And it's down to 24 right now, and people are
Yep.
waiting because if it's dropped that precipitously, it's going to keep dropping. And I think that a number of hardcore gamers are tuned into this whole conversation that are going to wait. And, I don't know how much of the sales are how many hardcore gamers contribute to the sales that these companies make, but it definitely leads to perception, and then the waiting,
yes.
and the whole waiting for a sale game thing.
But it's interesting that the three hardware manufacturers, Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony, none of them did this. Bethesda is the only third-party publisher that's out. All the rest of the third-party publishers are like, sure, we'll do our. So it's interesting to me that the hardware companies are like, no, we're not going to share that data.
Yeah.
We're not going to share our first-party digital sales numbers with you. Which might also allow them to control their message a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, that's what springs to my mind as well. It's just control over the data.
Yeah.
So, Sony could say, for example, oh, well, Uncharted 4 didn't chart this high on NPD, but you don't know our digital numbers. And then,
exactly.
And then that, for me, at least with Sony, that perception, for me, adds to the number. Like, well, it's Sony, and they have so many consoles out in the market, like, it's got to be higher, but maybe it's not.
Yeah. Overall, it's a really good thing, though. I mean, this NPD has needed this for a long time to stay relevant.
Right. Well, every time that we talk about it, we're like, well, this is physical only, folks.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And digital has taken up more and more of game sales overall. So,
well, especially the games that are tied to, or that release also on Steam. Those, or PC in general. Those are. I mean, does anyone buy physical games on PC anymore at all?
I don't think I have in a very long time.
Right. I think
Why would I?
My last one was Diablo 3 because I wasn't really a PC gamer, and I just thought
I should actually say I don't have a working DVD drive on my computer, so no, I don't buy physical games.
And I'm back to the PC game after a while, and I put a DVD drive on my computer, but it was for Game of Thrones Blu-rays that I have, not for games.
There you go.
So that answers that question.
So yeah, I mean, this is going to be good overall. I think this will be affecting. They'll get this for the data next week, I think, because I think June NPD numbers come out next week, the 21st or something.
Yeah, it's the third Thursday of the month. So
yeah, whatever that is, it's next week. So yeah, we can talk about that then. See if that's shifted anything unexpectedly.
Right. So the next news story is about Valve, and they're going to start cracking down on those gambling sites that use Steam. Basically, the Steam API was allowing people to log in with their Steam account, and they were trading skins for money and yada, yada, yada. And I guess Valve is saying that they knew nothing or had nothing to do with the gambling scene or whatever. And it just seems to me that people are kind of backing away from this now that they've all been caught.
Kind of. I'm like, yeah, you didn't know. Sure. You knew. Someone knew. Someone knew in there and just didn't care.
Right.
Lots of people probably just didn't care. They're like, fine, whatever. Because I don't think there's actually been any legal stuff on it, since it's all virtual goods, technically.
Right.
Like, it's a weird... that Reddit post where the lawyers were talking about it said that there was it's a pretty gray area. Like, there just hasn't been a lot of legislation on if these skins would be considered virtual good, like virtual only, or have like physical relevance, like which changes the legal where it falls legally. And lawsuits that have been coming out are now challenging that, basically going like, this stuff is going to get defined probably in the next year or 2 years.
Right.
And so no wonder everyone's backing away now. They're like, yeah, it's probably not going to end up well for us.
Well, and Valve has been saying, well, it's not part of our user agreement or whatever. This has always been illegal, but it's been happening for years.
Yeah.
So, we've had this blanket of security with our rules that we've been able to let it go because everyone's been happy now. But now that people aren't happy, we're going to be able to say our bylaws or whatever have never allowed this. So we're, not culpable for this whole situation.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, that comes in, and this actually leads into a little bit of the next, not the next news article. We'll flip this a little bit.
Yeah, bring us on.
Into Rocket League's unlockable crates,
Yep.
and them choosing to ignore and not make them tradable on the marketplace.
Right. They learned from Valve there.
Basically, they don't want to be involved in any of this, and I could totally see people betting on Rocket League.
Oh, hell yeah. That thing is blowing up in terms of esports.
Yeah, so it's not shocking to me, and it's not shocking to me that Sonics would get out in front of this and be like, no, we're not even going down that road. Let's just snip this at the bud now.
Well, and their first bullet point on their blog is that crates will contain cosmetic content only. We have a strict don't sell advantage policy. Like, we're not going to sell advantage, and then I guess for the skins as well. The skins are not some sort of advantage. No. It's just cosmetic, but they're not going to allow this.
They don't want
marketplace
it to
integration,
kinda,
right?
Yeah. Which is really cool. I mean, this screams that it's cool that Rocket League they're going to be pushing down. Like, I've been wondering what their long-term kind of monetization stuff would be, and this seems to be it.
Well, in terms of the professor's wallet, their long-term monetization idea is DLC.
See, so I'm sure you're going to continue to get DLC.
Yeah.
Then you'll get crates to unlock, and
well, I just found out that I forget, it was like 2 times ago. There was something that launched. The basketball, and there were no trophies attached to it. And I was like, oh, this is fun, but whatever. And then they launched the Neo Tokyo package, and then they put the basketball and hockey trophies attached to that. And I'm like, okay, I was 100% on this game, but now I'm not. So I'm just going to spend all my time trying to get back to 100% on this fucking game. And I'm not spending any more money on it, but I'm spending a lot more time on Rocket League again.
They've got you wrapped around their finger.
That game is awesome.
It is.
I can't stop. And the trophy thing is just, that's the one game where it's just like, I need 100%.
Yeah. So are you looking forward to the crate stuff?
No, not really. I don't really care too much about cosmetic stuff. I don't like Destiny or Rocket League or Counter-Strike or, these games that I play, or Overwatch, for example. I don't really care that much. I think there's Overwatch has the crate system as well, and you can buy skins or buy the chance to get skins or whatever. And they look cool, but I don't care.
Yeah.
Nah. So
it is nice that they do it in a way that doesn't give advantage to anybody.
Well,
so it's like, if you want to pay money for the game, give us money. Here's how you can give us money.
Well,
that's fine.
That's the smartest way to do it, because there are people who want those skins, and it's kind of like the looking for the whale or whatever it's called.
The prestige, they want it. I mean, League of Legends had that.
Right.
There are definitely skins in League of Legends that I'm like, I want to play. I'm playing this character. Oh, that skin for them looks really awesome. I want that skin.
Right. And I'm almost there with Overwatch, like Reinhardt or Widowmaker. I'm like, oh, I kind of want to look cooler because those people who bought the skins look fucking dope. But am I really going to pay real money for that?
It's a hard sell.
It is. But there's 1, 2, 3% of the population who plays that game who's into that, and that funds almost everything else. So there's no reason for them not to do it. It doesn't hurt anyone else, and the people who want to pay that money, it helps them. So it's kind of a win-win as long as it's not pay to play.
Yeah, and even it giving you that thought of like, you see other people with those skins, you're like, oh, that looks cool. Kind of want that. Even if you don't go out and get it, they've already planted that in your mind, where you're like, oh, well, maybe I could get that at some point.
Dude, that is so true, because...
And it's not like you'll turn around and do it, but who knows? Like, months down the line, you're still playing, you're like, let's go for it.
That is like the perfect encapsulation of what I'm thinking right now, because I've seen some Reinhardt skins that look awesome. I'm like, I'm not going to buy that now. I'll wait to see if it drops. And like I've gotten like 7 drops, nothing. Maybe if it was available, I would just buy it outright.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's exactly right.
But speaking of Overwatch...
Oh, Overwatch. So there's a new character coming. Her name is Anna, and she is the mother of Farah.
Yep.
And she's a sniper, which is my favorite class. And she's a sniper who helps her team and also hurts the other team. Basically, it's a sniper who shoots health, basically. Like you can.
Yeah, I watched the gameplay video. It looked hilarious.
I want this character so bad. And she's blue, which is my favorite color. So it's just like this character's built for me. Sniper, it's a support class, and it's blue. I want this character. And she's the mother of my favorite character, Farah.
It's true. It's interesting. This is the first new character, if I'm right.
Yeah, it's the first, exactly.
New character since launch.
Right.
So, I wonder if this is... I know that to put... Like, this leaked. They were going to announce it...
At Comic-Con.
San Diego Comic-Con. Right. And it leaked, and then they just put it up on the PTR. Like, you can log into the PTR and Overwatch and just play her right now. Right. I've seen videos of people playing her. So, clearly Blizzard was like, fine, whatever.
Right.
Here you go.
Stop BlizzCon. Who fucking cares? There you go.
So, yeah, I think it looks really cool, and it's about the right speed. I'll see how long she's on the PTR before she goes live.
Right.
But that'd be an interesting... Like, how long has Overwatch been out? So it came out...
it came out 24th of May.
All right, so... It's a pretty good cadence, a couple months between heroes.
Yep. And if they can do
probably
that...
three total. I could see them doing, like, 4 heroes a year.
That would be awesome.
We're trying to keep it up, maybe, or mix it up, maybe a couple heroes and a couple new maps and or modes,
Please
things
bring
like that.
New maps.
Yeah, I have a feeling. Who knows? There's their Comic-Con thing.
Yeah.
Because I assume they have a panel at Comic-Con.
I think that's where they were going to announce this. Yeah.
So I can assume that they'll potentially show new maps there as well.
That's what we want.
So it looks really cool. She looks really cool. Yeah, I was pretty impressed.
Yep. And it's interesting for me from a game that has 20, 21 characters to have a new one so soon, quote unquote. Like it speaks to the future of the game where they're going to keep driving interest in the game. Like kind of like Smash Brothers for Wii U did, where we put out this 48 character roster or whatever. Here are 5 more, and here are 2 more, and here's 3 more. Like it's really smart. And to be free, too. Like, you paid for the game, here you get this character.
Yeah.
Which is something that I was reading today. This is not in our news tracker, but Thea the Awakening, the game that you bought on Steam, they've done this DLC model, too, where, like, here's a huge content drop that's free. And then apparently there's some cosmetic stuff that's for pay in that game. I'm not exactly sure.
I'd have to check everything. I do know that I noticed that it patched recently after I bought it, and it had...
Right.
A huge amount of content additions to it.
Right.
So it's not a bad way to go about it. And it's kind of what people expect in a lot of ways.
Right.
Call this free-to-play model affecting the pay-to-play model, and the fact that people expect if they're going to put money into a game, that it's supported.
Well, and it's... I mean, I don't know how it works for all...
Especially multiplayer stuff, specifically.
Which Thea's not, but Overwatch is.
Thea's not, but I mean, there's still some of that in... even if it's not like full-on content on single player, people kind of expect you will patch it, you will potentially add some new features, if not new content.
Right.
I'm trying to think of games that have done things like that.
Well, I mean, when Witcher 3 started out, it was new features, like you can change your hairstyle, or you can...
Yeah, exactly.
Yen looks like she's dressed like a stripper, or whatever it was. But it wasn't really new quests, but then they put out the new quest later, but it drove interest in the game. And at that time when it launched, it was like right after Evolve, which was like, you can pay $50 for this new monster, and people were just so fucking pissed about it that it was like, here's how you can do it for real. Here's a good way to do it. And And to be honest, the Thea, when you bought it, I put it on my wish list because it looked interesting to me. And then this whole the new content dropping with the DLC drove my interest again. I started reading about it, and it's all based on Slavic mythology, apparently.
Yes.
Which, being a person who lived in Ukraine for several years, like Slavic that's a way to get me involved. And I jumped right over to Steam and thought about how I could buy this game. And if they didn't do this whole DLC model, I wouldn't have thought of it again.
Yeah.
So
it is a way to try keep a game in like mind share.
Yeah, that's the word, mind share.
Because there is so much coming out and so much people can get distracted with, and it is definitely something that, like when I was working at PopCap and we were doing the mobile stuff with Bejeweled Blitz and other things Bookworm stuff I was working on, that we had lots of conversations about, okay, what kind of features can we put into the game and what can we add at what cadence to keep people involved in the game.
Right.
Like thinking about it. Like, and it's a big discussion that goes on now for most games. Like, you don't want people to just pick it up and then finish it and never think about it again.
Well, and it's interesting, too, because I feel like, I mean, you know way better than me, but, like, the biggest sell point is, like, when the game first launches and it's in everyone's, like, mind and they jump towards purchasing the game, perhaps. And then, again, obviously later with discounted sales. But to have new content or whatever, it kind of feels like a new launch, almost.
Yeah.
And then that drives sales.
Yeah, usually does. Which nicely transitions into our last bit of news here.
You want to start that discussion?
I guess so. So we got two big pieces of Battlefront stuff coming out. So first one was from DICE and EA just putting up a post on like what's next for Star Wars this summer. Bots. Offline.
Yeah, offline play. People have been, I don't want to say bitching, but concerned that there wasn't an offline component to this basically online game. And they basically put it in a mode called Skirmish, where the new mode, quote-unquote, will be available starting July 21st and offers players the option to play offline against bots in a solo mission or with a friend using co-op split screen, unquote. So people are going to get their play with a friend offline, we don't need to play online kind of thing, expanded. I think, you and I played Battlefront offline up there in Seattle, but it was limited.
It was the horde mode type thing. Right. But there's not a whole lot that they were doing with it. This is cool. And this just goes to think that they're still updating this. They're still giving people stuff for this.
Yeah, there's a long-term plan for this, which, before we get to the next piece of the long-term plan, there was a piece here where if you're not into the solo play kind of thing, there are more in-game events planned for the summer, some HUT contracts for new weapons, reward opportunities, and trials to experience, blah, blah, blah. So there's new stuff in this kind of Phase 3, but there is a Phase 4 coming, and it speaks to, if you've been following this podcast for a while, I was kind of, not angry, but discussing the fact that the game Battlefront didn't tie into the new Star Wars movies coming out. But there's a new Star Wars movie coming out at the end of the year called Star Wars Rogue One, right?
Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
There we go. Rogue One, a Star Wars story. And apparently Battlefront is going to tie into that game, where you can... this is their 4th DLC, right?
Yeah, and it doesn't surprise me whenever they said that, this Battlefront only deals with the original trilogy. They weren't going to mess with the prequels or Force Awakens on. Episodes 4, 5, and 6. And Rogue One is basically butts up right into Episode 4.
Right.
It's the heist to steal the Death Star plans. So, to me, it's not shocking. They're nope, we will set it... Because it is kind of like an original Star Wars movie. Part of that original trilogy. So it's not surprising that is the one that they choose, and of course the movie's coming out this Christmas. So
yeah, so basically they're able to tie in this game to a new Star Wars movie coming out, but still thematically keep to the kind of quote unquote old Star Wars.
Yeah.
The new game has two, so a hero and a villain. It's going to be Jin Urso, and it's going to be director Orson Krennic. So two characters that are going to be recognizable from, obviously, the trailers, but also just the movie in general, and just kind of drive interest in that game.
And it will be taking place on Scarif.
Right.
If you've watched the trailers, it's the beach planet.
Right.
So sandy beaches, oceans, tropical. So it will be a very different looking map.
Right.
That's for sure.
And, currently you have my copy of Battlefront, but
Yeah.
I don't have the DLC package, and I don't know if you do either, but it's something that's interesting at least. So
yeah. And so is this the last DLC for this
they
one?
plan 4. Yeah. So this is the fourth and last. And it includes Wookiee and a Wookiee, what the fuck?
Bosk.
Yeah.
Chewbacca and Bosk.
Chewbacca and Bosk, yep. Mm-hmm.
And so they have Death Star coming out at the end of summer.
Yep, and that's the third DLC package. That's at the end.
And then the Rogue One,
yeah.
and it's probably by the time the movie launches, and
that's it.
Yeah, and then it's probably we'll get Battlefront 2 in 2017.
One would imagine.
Yeah, fall 2017, right around when Episode 8 will come out.
Right.
And you have to believe it's going to be tied in with the new trilogy.
And you have to believe they'll have a single-player campaign.
Yes, because they've been working on it for a while now, I'm sure.
Right, they're ready to go.
Yeah. So it's cool news. I was pretty excited about that. Rogue One is probably... I kind of am more excited about Rogue One than I am the mainline Star Wars movies.
Really? Why?
It's just something different.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really like heist movies, for one, and actually to see just a different type of movie set in Star Wars. Like, I've liked expanded universe stuff. I've read a few novels, but the Knights of the Old Republic stories I always liked way more than I actually like the normal Star Wars stuff.
Right.
So, like, where I find a lot of interest in the universe is when they start pushing the boundaries of the Star Wars universe and showing how different people are living and going about different things in that universe, rather than just here's a hero's journey in the Star Wars universe, which that's what the main trilogy is. Right. And honestly, the new trilogy is probably still going to be a hero's journey, because that's what they are.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to be very true to the roots, for sure.
Which is fine, and I just like whenever I'm like, they're not bad movies. I really like The Force Awakens, but give me something new, at least interesting, and trying to do something new in that universe. Sold.
Well, and I think
it's good.
That's the smart thing they're doing. They're like, okay, here the quote unquote on years. Here's kind of like the homage to the original trilogy, and we're not hewing too far away from what's been done before. But then the off years, quote unquote, here's something brand new, and we're going to take some risks. So that's cool. And did you see the new posters that they released? I think it was today.
It was like,
kind of like a
which one? There's
scene.
one with the Death. Yeah.
With the Death Star in the background.
Yeah. So, I'm sold. I'm okay. I am all on board with female protagonist.
Oh yeah.
She looks awesome.
Yep.
My wife came in. She watched they had the sizzle reel from Star Wars Celebration going on. And I showed her like the 3-minute, like it's kind of behind the scenes, but shows some new footage. And the last shot where Jen Orso is looking at the camera and say like, "May the Force be with us." Mm-hmm. My wife's like, "I know. Who's that actress?" I'm like, "It's Felicity Jones." And she's like, "I know her. What's she been?" Looked up Wikipedia. She's a British actor that's been in a bunch of stuff my wife's watched. Jane Austen stuff and BBC Jane Austen stuff. Right. She's like, and my wife's like, sold. Seeing this movie.
She's going with me. This is great.
She would have already anyway, but now she's even more like.
Well,
she's like, this actress is awesome. I want to go see it.
Well, I would like to say the vocal minority who is like, another female protagonist, I'm not going to watch this shit. It's like, people aren't going to be able to relate to this. Like, people have been relating to male protagonists forever, and it's like, girl children, boy children have been relating to this forever. Like, let's, give let's just see where the storytellers want to take the story. And it's a female protagonist, great. Like same thing with Ghostbusters. Like they want to take this in the female direction, like great. Let's see how it pans out instead of just saying like this is shit because there are females in it. Like, anyone saying that is stupid.
Yeah, there's a lot of valid complaints you can make about rebooting Ghostbusters. Mm-hmm. Female is not them being female is not a valid complaint.
No, it's not. And if you're listening to this podcast and this is your only complaint for this game, you can stop listening because we don't need you here.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So, that's enough there. Anything else for the news section here, my friend Anthony?
I think that's a lot of good news today.
That was just a great week. So when we come back from the break, we are going to talk about what we are playing, and one of us has a couple of games, and one of us has one. So
I know.
We'll be right back, my friends. All right, friends, we are back from the break, and this is going to be Anthony talking about Pokemon Go. So, go.
Okay, so that's pretty much the only game I've played. Let's go through this past week, my days, usually. Work's been really busy for me, so I've tended to stay busy during the day, but I'll get down to the ferry, my ferry dock, and do my commute. But as I'm walking the ferry dock, I have my phone out, and I can usually catch a few Pokemon before I get on the ferry. There's a few that hang out around the ferry terminal where I'm at, and the ferry terminal is a Pokestop, so I can get some Pokeballs and different stuff from there, and capture some stuff that I want multiples of. And then for my commute, I usually just read, because there's nothing out on the water. But then when I get into Seattle, there's a bunch of stuff, basically from where I get off my ferry to where I get into the bus tunnels to go up to where I work. And then I get out of bus tunnels where I work, and I get off at one of the best places to capture Pokemon in the entire city. This has been confirmed by many people that play the game in Seattle. The park right next to where I work is a glorious Pokemon capturing sanctuary. And every day this week, there's one place I'll usually stop for about 10 minutes before I go to work. And every morning, without fail, there's been 15 to 25 people playing at this one place. Dang. Every morning. And then I'll go to work, and then I have lunch, and I'll usually eat there, and then I go for a walk and catch more Pokemon, and usually go back into that park and walk around. And that's when on Friday I saw 40 people sitting around playing.
And are they conversing with each other, or is it
some? Okay. Like some people are talking, some people aren't. I've said hi to people and talked a bit. I mean, we all have our factions, so we kind of joke about that. Everyone's polite and happy. The people that don't want to talk just don't talk. Right. They just are over on the side and just looking at their phones, doing their thing. There's been other times where it was 30 people on a different place at the park. I think that was on Tuesday last week. This is a level of insanity. I leave work, I make sure to walk back through the park. I have to get to the ferry to the bus tunnel anyway. So I just walk through the park. It takes an extra minute or so. But catching Pokemon the entire way, hitting Pokestops, people have put lures up. It's insane. But you can just tell the number of people playing. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Reverse my commute. Actually, this last week, as long as it's been nice days, so 3 of the 4 days that I actually go over, I've walked off from my office down to the ferry terminal. It takes about half an hour, 35 minutes.
And you wouldn't normally do that, right?
I do it on some nice days. This gives me even more incentive to be I'm going to leave. I'm just going to walk. And so I walk and hatch eggs and capture all sorts of Pokemon, see other people playing.
You're not putting your phone on a turntable to hatch your eggs?
No, I'm walking. And it's great for getting me out and just giving that one more incentive to just go walk, just go explore. There's been a ton of stuff I've explored in the city. One of the days I went up to Seattle Center and then went to visit my mom. Had to go run an errand over there and visit my mom. And I went through Seattle Center. I think that was on Wednesday, and I saw 100+ people playing as I walked through that park by the Space Needle and all the stuff down in there. It's ridiculous, but you feel like you're part of something,
Right.
Like everyone knows what you're doing, and everyone's like smiles, thumbs up, whatever. Like, you know,
It's like this
you're having a good
tacit
time.
acknowledgement of what you guys are all doing.
Yeah. And so that's like my day, and then I get home, put the kids to bed, and once they're in bed, I usually then go through, spend probably like an hour going through. I usually collect between 90 and 100 Pokemon in a day
Holy crap.
from doing that,
Right.
and hatch them in. And then I go through them, and I just organize them, like discard the ones I don't need to get extra resources, look at what I want to evolve and not evolve, and yeah, that usually takes me about an hour of just screwing around, messing with that, and then that gets me to like usually around 9 or 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. So,
And do you consider yourself a mobile gamer?
I did make mobile games.
Yeah.
Not the typical mobile gamer. No, I don't. I tend to not play mobile games.
You're not a Candy Crush player.
No, not at all. Actually, since I quit PodCap years ago, I pretty much stopped playing games on my phone. A few every once in a while, like Monument Valley.
Yeah, that's a worthy one.
Like there's certain ones that rise up, but I stopped playing like the free-to-play stuff. I just didn't care.
Go.
Yep, I should get that. I should get those ones. Any game with Go now on the mobile phone, I will play. But yeah, that's what I've been playing. That's what my week has been like. Today, recording on Saturday, there's a big, small. It's big for here, but small overall. Island Festival. It's our think about rodeo days when we grew up.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the Strawberry Festival.
There's no bulls or tractor pulls.
No. There's a parade, a small parade through the town, and people are just out. So I was down there for a couple hours today and did a bunch of gym battling at the library. There was a bunch of people playing, and they're all just fighting over the gym at the library. And so I got to take it a couple times and hold it, and it was fun. I mean, you could tell people were playing. Yeah.
One of my friends down here is a librarian in a city nearby, and they are so fucking excited about Pokemon Go. They've ordered banners like Pokemon Go trainers, come here. We're a Pokestop or we're a gym or whatever it is.
Some are gyms, some are Pokestops. Gyms are the ones people would be fighting over.
Okay, so it must be a gym then. But people are coming in and they're just using the sorry, I just saw news that the Giants just lost to the Padres, and I'm really fucking pissed. Anyway, okay, back to Pokemon Go. So people are coming in using library resources, and the librarians are basically using Pokemon Go to get clients or whatever to come in and use library resources. And it's just, there are librarians who are like, so their boss is telling them, brush up on Pokemon Go so you know how to talk about it, so you know what it is, so when people come in, you can talk to them about it and keep them in the library. And it's just...
Yeah. Have you seen there's a picture that went around, I saw it on a Reddit, Pokemon Go Reddit, earlier in the week, and it was a library that had printed out the 3 teams.
Oh, yeah.
And
right.
they basically would post who was currently in control of the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, hey, if it changes, let us know so we can put up your team colors.
Right.
And they had like the Pokemon books and manga around it,
Yep.
so you could check it out. Like, it was I was like, that's awesome.
That's a smart way to deal with this, to kind of like, hitch your kite to the zeitgeist. So it's great to see.
Another thing that I do, walking off the hill where I work, I walk by a game store. It's called Ray Gun Lounge. If anyone's ever in Seattle, highly recommend it. But they're a Pokestop. I found that out like the first day I had the game. I'm like, that's awesome. I walked by there. One of the days I walked by there on my way down. It's not the only route I can take. and I saw they had a sign up, and they do happy hour from 5:30. They're doing Pokemon happy hour from 5:30 to 7:30, Monday through Friday. And since they're a Pokestop, they can put a thing called a lure at the Pokestop. These are things that you get a few of them by playing the game, but you pretty much have to buy them. But you can lure a Pokestop, and it lasts for half an hour, and it just makes Pokemon appear at greater rates by that Pokestop.
Uh-huh.
And so the store, this lounge, is just saying, hey, come here, we'll have this perma-lured for 2 hours. If you just come in and you can have a drink, hang out, you get a couple bucks off your beer if you show us that you're playing. So they're using it, and it's been full. I've seen people there doing that. So.
And it's working out for local, at least in San Diego. Like the anecdotal evidence that I've seen is that people are coming into these local businesses who have lures out or whatever, and they're spending money. Like,
yep,
it's just, I know that the bad news kind of catches all the headlines, but there's a lot of good shit. Like people are exercising, people are spending money in local businesses, people are meeting other people, and it's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I see on my Twitter feed, I see people talking. They're like, they showed their steps that they've taken the week before the game came out and the week after. And you're like, what day did Pokemon Go come out? Because it's pretty obvious they're walking like 5 times the steps that they were before.
Exactly.
I will play other games again, but I've been having a blast with this, and it's just being part of that community. And you kind of just can be passively part of it too. You can be as engaged as you want.
Right.
And it's cool just hanging out with people.
Yep, that's right.
I haven't met anyone that I will see again. Like, I don't know their names or anything, but we've chatted every once in a while. Like, someone let me know. I was like, oh, I've been looking for this thing, this Pokemon and that Pokemon. They're like, oh, yeah, I found it over at this park in the city or over in this neighborhood. And I'm like, good to know. I will make a trip out there at some point.
Well, even that connection is, I think every connection that's positive in life is worthwhile, but even those small connections are, they add up to something important.
And yes, I do feel like this game is giving a lot of positivity. Like, sure, there's negative stories here and there of the girl that walked into traffic and got hit by a car.
Right. Well, it is revealing.
Which is it's gonna happen, honestly.
Well, and it is revealing some, base level human stupidity. Like, don't walk into traffic. Don't.
Yeah,
in San Diego, 2 people walked off a cliff.
Are you serious?
Yeah, in Encinitas, 2 people walked off a cliff. Okay, so the police responded to a call, and they found a person who had walked off a cliff. And they looked further down the cliff, and they found another person 50 feet below them who had walked up the cliff, and they were both playing Pokemon Go. So it's the same thing with cell phones with cameras, like taking pictures of the sunset or whatever. Like, people have fallen off the cliffs doing that too. It's not Pokemon Go. It's like base stupidity.
It's people just not being aware of what's around them.
Exactly.
And the game does do a good job every time it loads saying, be aware of what's around.
Right.
That's its only loading screen, is saying, hey,
and that's Nintendo.
Pay attention to the world around you.
On the 2DS, you play for or 3DS, you play for an hour, and they're like, "Don't you want to take a break?" It's like, "No, I'm an adult. I don't want to take a break." But hey, be aware of walking off a cliff. It's probably pretty good.
Yeah. But beyond negative stuff like that, just the positivity is insane with this.
Right.
Just seeing so many people connect of so many different backgrounds that we've never talked to each other, even seen each other before.
Right.
Is incredible. This can only be good overall.
Yeah, there are some bad things, but overall it's good, I think.
But overall, just getting people out and meeting other people, having interaction with the people around them that live in their cities and towns.
Right. I agree completely. Speaking of good things and positive interactions, we have a giveaway code for you. This is for Steam, and this is a 9J24W QF4LL DNWTN. This is a code for Steam. Again, NJ24W QF4LL DNWTN. I can promise you this is not for Pokemon Go. This is for Steam.
It's not.
So if you want a free Steam game, it's actually I've played this game on PS4, and it's a pretty rad game. So if you want to jump on that, get all over it. And then if there's no more Pokemon Go stuff, I'll jump over to my games.
Yeah. I could probably ramble about this thing forever. So
my games be pretty quick. I've played 3 this week, and the first one is XCOM, and XCOM is kicking my ass.
Am I dead?
No, you are alive, and you are the most
Yes.
senior member of my team.
Yes.
I'm naming people after, or naming my team after people who I know in real life, and people that I know have told me that they run out of names because people die, and I was like, if you play carefully, people won't die. You can reset or whatever. Like, there's no point in resetting because you're gonna lose people. So many people. Like, I lost a whole team wiped, and I was like, I don't care. I'll just keep going. But yeah, you're still alive. You're the most senior person. I'm hoping to God that you make it to sergeant so I can get the achievement or add more people to my team. I mean, but that game is rad. It's like a mature Fire Emblem, basically. Like just strategy tactics kind of game where. The only thing that I don't like about the game is that I don't sometimes know where the aliens are coming from. Like, they just kind of I think I'm done, and then like a new wave appears, and I'm like, I just barely made it through the last wave, and I'm like, I'm fucked. I'm so dead.
Yeah. That I think that was a complaint in the first one. Was it? It didn't incentivize, because the way things are set up in it. Moving your guys forward fast.
Right.
You should only move them up 1 or 2 because you don't want to trigger too many groups.
And that's what I'm discovering is that I'm trying to move forward because I don't know where they are. So I move my guys in team. A group of 4. I move in teams of 2 to kind of expand the map to see where people are, and then I just trigger a ton of aliens, and I'm just dead.
Yeah.
So I should move everyone together in a group.
You should play more cautiously, basically.
And that's something.
It's an unfortunate part of the first XCOM. Not the first one. The new ones. Yeah, it's still really good, but that is you play it and you're like, oh, that's okay. How I should play? I should play more conservative. It pushes conservative play over all out. XCOM 2 combats that, and where you need to play pretty aggressively.
And I read that stuff about XCOM 2, so I just translated it to my XCOM 1 experience. So there's, I don't know what they are, canisters or whatever, where you have 3 or 4 or 5 moves to get to them to extract some meld or whatever. Yeah. So I run toward them, and I just expand the map, and then there's just aliens that just rain hell upon me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I should be more conservative. I want to keep you alive.
Please do. What am I? What class did I end up being?
I have no idea. I don't remember. Sorry. I've had so many people die that I don't remember what you are. You're like a tank kind of character.
Oh, okay. Heavy. Or whatever it is. Heavy weapons specialist or something.
You're the guy that has the gun to stun the enemies so that I can take them back and research them. Okay. So that's your job right now, because you're the guy that seems to live.
There we go.
So
I won't for that one.
I hope I can get you through the game, but it seems like that's unrealistic.
Maybe.
But yeah, for 26 or whatever the game campaign is, 26 hours or whatever, I don't think I can keep one person alive.
It's hard. It's very hard.
Speaking of hard, the next game I'm playing is the opposite. It is Song of the Deep. It is Insomniac's new game, and it's the first one published by Game Trust, which is the publishing arm of GameStop. This game came out last week, I think, for $15 on the PSN Xbox Live network and Steam as well. And I realized that it was for sale at GameStop for the same price. So I went to GameStop. I had to do a couple of things there anyways. And I found out that I can buy the physical disc for $15. So for the same price, I can buy it and then send it to you when I'm done, and send it to my friend, another friend who plays PS4.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so $15 and then 3 people can play it. That sounds better than digital. It is the perfect summer game. It is a Metroidvania where you're in a submarine as a little girl trying to find your father. and it is just chill. The puzzles are not too difficult. You gain power-ups to move into new places like Metroidvanias do, and the graphics are nice. It's just you're underwater and it's just like an aquarium and it's just very chill. This is a game that you should play when you're, I don't know, a little buzzed or a little drunk or under the influence of some other stuff. But it's not too difficult. It's almost like baby's first Metroidvania so far. I played 3 hours so far. And the only thing that drives me a little crazy is that if you think back to Metroid, Super Metroid, where you're somewhere on the map and you shouldn't be there. You should be somewhere else trying to like kind of further your abilities or further the map or whatever. It doesn't really tell you where to go.
Okay.
Song of the Deep has a big yellow X telling you where to go. And that's a little annoying.
Modern game design.
It's a little hand-holdy.
Yep.
Yeah. But
modern games.
Right. But other than that, it's fun. It's very chill. So I recommend it. For $15, it's a great value.
Yeah, seems like it.
Yeah. But if you have a friend with a disc, wait till they're done. I think it's like a 8-10 hour maybe experience, and then grab it from them. The last game that I'm playing this week, and I cannot believe that I'm playing it, is Destiny. I was dicking around my PS4 playing a couple of games, and I thought, let me load up Destiny and see how it's going. Apparently there's a couple of raids that I haven't, not raids, the what's it called, weekly strikes. The strikes that I've never played before. Like, there are new experiences, and apparently the leveling system has accelerated a little bit every time that I've played. In the last 2 days I've gained some sort of equipment that's raised my light level or my defense level, which has allowed me to kind of move up the ranks and do new things and be stronger or whatever. And I'm almost back into the loot loop for Destiny. So yeah, it's, mechanically it's a great game. Story wise, it's shit. So but it's kind of gotten me excited a little bit for the new Destiny Rise of Iron or whatever that's coming out in September. So I think I'm back in the claws of Destiny. So
to a point. We'll see how long it lasts.
To a point. Excellent point. Yeah, so we'll see. But for now, I'm playing it, and I'm enjoying it, and those are the 3 games that I'm playing this week. I haven't beaten any game this week, unlike last week, so that's new. Yeah, so when we come back, we'll get into a little bit of off-topic banter, and then we will sign off for the night. So stay right there. All right, my friends, we are back from the break, and we are on to our off-topic banter. There are no spoilers for Game of Thrones this week, so you don't need to click off. So, Anthony, you want to lead us into this jungle?
Sure. We were talking about the Star Wars games and the trilogies and everything. So I finished my son on the original trilogy.
Oh, man. What was his reaction to it?
So he'd seen A New Hope a couple times, which was fine. We're like, fine, we're doing Empire. This was 3 weeks ago. We're like, doing a movie night, we're going to do Empire Strikes Back. He actually wasn't that afraid by Empire Strikes Back. I thought he would. He quickly got back up to speed on all the characters. And then, of course, it's Empire, and all the stuff comes out. He was, like, really worried for Han. It's like, what's going to happen? Like, he can't die. And then Vader does the "I'm your father" thing.
Yeah.
And by the end of the movie, my son's like, "He's lying, right? It's not true, right?" It's like that's not right. I mean, Vader's evil. Like, why would he be his dad? Like, he has to be lying. Like, he just could not grasp. It's like, no, this is not a thing, because we've never spoiled it for him.
Right.
It's so awesome being able to watch someone new to that whole
like
thing.
new eyes.
Just like, this is incredible. And it made me go look and back, and in the 70s, between Empire and Jedi coming out, I mean, the general audience didn't know either.
Right.
And there's a lot of news articles you can find and reviews that are like, no, it can't be true. Like, there's a whole bunch of, like, that conspiracy kind of like, no, they're just playing with us. Vader's totally just lying to Luke. But then the following week we watched Return of the Jedi, which he actually found scarier than Empire.
Really?
He found it more intense. The Emperor, the scenes with Luke, Vader, and the Emperor, he was super worried that Luke was going to die. Like, and it freaked him out.
So he really connected with Luke.
Yes.
Huh. I mean that's...
He connected to that hero's journey kind of thing. Like, he really was invested in what was happening with Luke. And so... But it was just incredible to just finish that out with him and just see, I don't know, new reaction to that, because I've never seen anyone that doesn't know all the twists and turns, and he was like...
Right, because
he grasps, he's like, oh, Leia's Luke's sister? And he's like, so is that Vader her father too? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh. He was into it, like, just trying to process the whole thing. And
so it kind of like leaves off from like the energy of watching like I'm supporting Luke, to like this whole cerebral moment. Like, wait, how does this all connect?
Yeah, he got it at the end. He was like piecing it all together, and now we have to make the choice on what we show him next.
What are you gonna choose?
I don't. I feel like I have to show him the prequels. Like, I can't just not say that those exist.
Can't you wait? I mean, you can't like jump into episode.
And I kind of feel like if I'm gonna do the prequels, I should do it now, before 7.
I want to hear his reaction so badly to those prequels.
And I'll let you know.
Oh man,
to dig those out.
Yeah.
No, it's gonna kill me. They're not good movies. They're really not good movies.
I should probably dig up the episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and watch that for once.
It's the best one of them. Yeah. It's still not a good movie overall. Yeah, so I mean, this is my off-topic banter. That was a thing. It's all the Star Wars stuff, and yes, he will see 7 soon enough. Like, that will happen.
What's the rating on? Is that PG-13?
That is PG-13. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Empire should have been PG-13, but it was before PG-13 existed.
Right.
I'm almost certain that Force Awakens is PG-13. It would have to be, right? Right?
I would assume it's 13, yeah. It's not PG, because, like, PG... I mean, what is G anymore? Like, the most inane, like...
Pixar movie? No,
not even Pixar, no, but, DreamWorks or something, like, just... G means nothing anymore. It's just, PG has, like... I feel like PG is what PG-13 used to be.
Kind of. I've watched a number of videos and read articles that have talked about the shifting of the ratings. Like, what PG-13 was meant for,
right.
What it's kind of become, is totally different. Like, intention has been completely lost of what PG-13 was supposed to be.
Right.
Because it's basically taken R away.
Yeah.
Because a lot of R movies won't be R anymore. They want to hit PG-13, so
because they want a wider audience.
Yeah, and that's not what PG-13 was supposed to be.
Right.
So it's a kind of a weird place. So yeah, Force Awakens PG-13.
Yeah. Okay.
And I can understand that. Like, it's, for the most part, we're okay with it. It's just the beginning of the Force Awakens would be a little bit rough for a 6-year-old.
Right. Yeah, especially a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
But I'm glad he's into it, and you're getting him into Star Wars and Pokemon.
He's all into Pokemon right now. I watched my first episode ever of the anime.
Oh, during his episode time?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. How was that?
It's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a kid's show. I could totally see, like, if I was his age,
right.
I would be all into it. I'd be all over it. Like, I see what it's doing.
Yeah.
We had Transformers and G.I. Joe.
GoBots.
And GoBots, yes, and whatever else we had at that age.
Right.
He-Man, She-Ra, things like that. And it fits that same kind of niche. Like, you watch it and you're like, yep, this is totally just meant for that age.
Right.
So, which is fine. It's not like stab my eyes out with an ice pick or anything bad, but it's not something I would choose to watch myself. So
that's a cool thing to kind of, I don't know, pass down or share with the next generation.
Yeah. It's been fun. I've been having a good time with it.
Yeah. Well,
he's now at the age I can do this kind of stuff.
Right,
so.
Yeah, of course. Your daughter, not yet, but soon, eventually.
She processes things differently than him, though.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, that's for sure. Their personality.
She doesn't really get. He's the one who gets all like invested in the characters and freaked out, and she's like, "Yeah, whatever."
That's awesome. Well, speaking of sharing, we do have a code for you. It's for Steam. It is NJ24WQF4LL. And if you want to know the rest of the code, you have to listen to the rest of the episode. It's somewhere buried in this episode. But it is a good game, and it's a good podcast, so it's worth listening to. But
I don't even know what game it is.
It's a great one. You'd love it.
Do I own it?
I don't think so. So maybe the dev will pick it up before anyone else does. So you have to beat him.
I'll give people a few weeks.
But thank you, Anthony, for sharing another great episode with me. It's been an adventure for me because I didn't know a lot about Pokemon Go, but you've sold me on the hype, I would say.
You need to at least download it because I want to know why people are coming around your house.
So do I. Like it's been weird. I'm not a Pokestop or a Pokegym. I'm not sure what I am, but there's something here.
There's probably something around.
Yeah.
So.
Well, until next week, my friends, thanks for listening, and we will see you for episode 43. This has been episode 42 of Prof and Dev Play Games. Until next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night, folks.